Am I the jerk because I want to be able to engage with my friend group? I'm in high school and everything had been going well until one day my friend group sat at a smaller table than normal. I sat at the next table because there was no space left. The people on the other side of me were talking loudly, so I leaned to the edge of my table to hear what my friends were talking about. Then my friend, let's call her Janet, got mad at me for invading her personal space. I was still a good 10 centimeters away from her. I asked her why she hated me, and she said that she didn't, and that she liked all her friends equally. Meanwhile, she was sitting within 5 centimeters of another friend, let's call him Oni, on the other side of her. I called her out on this, and she started saying that I was trying to tear the friend group apart. I questioned the others, and almost all of them sided with her, particularly Oni. I got mad and told them how annoying they were being, then left. For the rest of the day, I did not talk to them. When I got to school the next day, Janet started getting mad at me about apparently calling her a bitch. She claimed she had her sources, which I highly suspect was Oni fabricating stories about me to her, and refused to talk to me. After school, I was abruptly removed from both of my friend group chats. I realized that they were all on her side and wanted me to apologize for something I never did. When I did apologize, she said, "That won't be enough of an apology," and walked off, even though I did nothing wrong in the first place. I then asked her and Oni what they were mad about, but they kept saying, "Oh, there's too many things to say them all." Gradually, most of the others have come to re-accept me as part of the friend group, but they also refuse to acknowledge what Oni and Janet have done wrong. Am I the asshole for causing this commotion, and what should I do next, considering I still want to be friends with the others? You are not the jerk. They clearly overreacted and sound rather immature. Stand your ground and clarify what happened. Don't let them make up some fake story. If it starts to wear on your mental health, ask your parents for help. They might have good suggestions. Am I the jerk for not treating a friend in college well? I started college this year, and there's this girl I went to high school with who is now in the same program as me, in the same section. Even though I have known her since I was 14 years old, sometimes I just stopped talking to her and deleted her contact. Most of the time, this was because she mirrored everything I used to post. For instance, if I posted a selfie with a specific emoji, she'd do the same. However, ever since we started college, I grew closer to her and felt bad for my past behavior. But things started changing when she met a classmate and they started to like each other. By this point, we had 2 other girls in our group, and I recently grew closer to them. So we were 4 girls doing all the classwork together. Because of the boy, she started to spend more time with him alone, which allowed me to get to know the other girls better. I realized how hard and tiring it was to interact with this girl most of the time. She always had some kind of rude or mean attitude toward me that made me feel awkward being myself around her. So I thought, oh, it's personal. She just doesn't like me. But one day, I was talking to one of my new friends, and she mentioned how hard it was to not feel judged by this same girl when they talked. That made me think that it wasn't just with me. This girl has the kind of attitude where, when other girls like something, they're stupid or annoying, but when she does or likes the same thing, she's special. Going back to the main theme lately, she's been trying to reconnect with the group I'm in. This is really awkward because all of us feel like we're walking on eggshells around her. Mostly because she can be nice one day and the next day she's rude or doesn't want to talk with us. So I stopped trying to be nice to her and kept the interactions serious and cold, even when she tries to be nice. Honestly, I don't even know what to think or do about it. I have to add some things. The reason why I mentioned this guy was because he started to make jokes about me. Even though she was around, she didn't do anything to stop him. He could see my posts before I deleted him, and once said, "Your post was so stupid I wanted to screenshot it and send it to her name." That moment was when I realized I didn't want to have anything to do with this guy, and the reason why I don't get close to her when she's with him. Also, I've heard them in class making fun of girls who like a certain popular female singer, even though she's an active fan of a very mainstream female singer too. Sounds like she's been mocking you and has carried that negative attitude into college. A group discussion about her behavior might be helpful, letting her know that it's not appreciated. Politely asking her to change could make a difference, and if not, it's fair to say you don't want to be around her anymore. Overall, in my opinion, you have done nothing wrong for feeling this way. Am I the jerk for blowing up at my mom for purposefully searching up my best friend's dead name? I, a 19-year-old non-binary person, have a best friend of 5 years, a 20-year-old male-to-female transgender person we'll call Evie. Evie hasn't used her dead name in years, but only changed her name legally in the past year, as it's a long and difficult process in our country. Now, Evie has her chosen name on all legal documents and IDs. Now, on to the issue. My family and I, including my 48-year-old mother, 50-year-old father, and 11-year-old sister, were sitting and chatting when my sister asked if I knew what Evie's dead name was. My sister is on the spectrum and has a very hard time understanding social cues. We have established that I'm a safe person to ask any question, and if it's offensive, I simply explain why so she can learn. It's a system that works for us. I told her that I did know Evie's dead name. Evie had me use her dead name around her parents before moving out since they weren't exactly accepting, but I don't tell anyone out of respect. My mom, who was sitting quietly and scrolling on her phone up until that point, casually said, "Oh, Evie's dead name. It's Ked dead name." I immediately froze, and the next exchange went something along these lines. Me, Evie hasn't used that name in years. Why would you say that? And how do you even know it? Mom, I just searched around. Me, why would you search for that? Mom, for safety reasons. You go out with Evie a lot. What if you went missing and the police asked who you were out with? I would say, Evie. My mom has Evie's last name, her phone number, as well as the full names of her parents, their phone numbers, and addresses. My mom demanded that info or she wouldn't let me hang out with Evie. Me, yes? Not to mention you have access to my location 24/7. Mom, why would you search for Evie's dead name? Don't you see how disrespectful it is? Mom, it's public information. If she didn't want her real name to be found, she should have been more mindful of what she posts online. Me, her real name is Evie. Why would you do it? You always called her Evie with no issue? Mom, that's because I didn't know her real name. I'm the adult here, so I will be calling her by her real name, not some made-up nickname. Me, if you do that, I will never allow you around Evie again. Mom, you're so dramatic. Did you take your meds today? I have borderline personality disorder, which does tend to make my emotions more intense. I am both on medication and in therapy. At this point, I stormed out and went to my room to calm down. We didn't talk for the rest of the day. This morning, my mom was hinting that I should apologize to her. To find her dead name, my mom had to really dig into Evie's profile, looking at old birthday wishes from 7 years ago. Stuff you have to deliberately search for to find. You did nothing wrong here. Your mom sounds very controlling, and it's great that you can move out in September. Don't let her near Evie again if she thinks so little of her and her real name. It's good you're defending Evie and being a safe space for your sister. Am I the jerk for not accepting help when I didn't ask for it? Today was a pretty rough day. I woke up in an indifferent mood and decided I was just going to stay home and get some vitamin D instead of running errands. I had taken the day off to extend my vacation that starts tomorrow. I was hanging around when my husband asked what I wanted for dinner. I didn't feel like cooking and was just going to have a salad and leftover grilled chicken. My husband sheepishly admitted that he had eaten the leftover chicken, but he offered to go to the supermarket, buy some more, and grill me a fresh piece. This man is an angel and is always thinking of others, so I cannot be mad at all. He does so much for our family, and if he wants the leftover chicken, he can have it. I told him I needed to grab a couple of things anyway, and that I would go. So off to the store I went. I quickly realized that one of the errands I had postponed today was grocery shopping. I grabbed a smaller cart and set off to shop. I ended up with a cart full of items and a couple of cases of water. I finished shopping, paid, and headed out to my car to load it up and head home. This is where I might be the antagonist. As I was loading my car, a woman with 2 children came up to me and offered to take my cart. The cart still had bags of groceries and the cases of water on it. I told her thank you, but I was still unloading the cart and would put it back myself, but I appreciated the offer. This lady started unloading my cart for me, putting my bags on the ground, and directed her son to remove the cases of water from the bottom of the cart. I snapped at her and told her I didn't need help and to not put my things on the ground. She had one of my bags in her hand, dropped it, and said she was just trying to help and that I didn't need to snap at her. I told her I didn't ask for or need help. She rolled her eyes at me, muttered, "Fucking bitch," and walked away. She walked a few feet ahead and yelled back that I could put my own cart away then. I yelled back that I had intended to from the beginning. I was pretty rude, I guess. I did have an attitude when I told her to back off, but I felt like she was in my personal space. I finished loading my car and returned the cart to the store vestibule. She and her children were standing in the vestibule talking with someone from my neighborhood that my husband and I are friendly with. I gave my neighbor a wave and walked back to my car. Am I the antagonist, Redditors, or was I justified in this situation? I think you are not in the wrong here. It's really strange that she insisted on having that specific cart when most grocery stores have plenty of identical ones. She had no business touching your belongings, especially putting your bags of food on the ground. You did nothing wrong by refusing her so-called help and telling her to leave you alone. Am I the jerk? My mother plans to have my sweet 16 at Dave & Buster's when she had my brother's 10th in New Orleans. Is this favoritism, or am I the jerk? For context, I am a 15-year-old female turning 16 in about a month. I have been planning my birthday party since mid-May. I believed my mother was saving up for my birthday since the start of last year. I have never been the type of child to speak out about how I feel in most situations. Since birth, I was taught to shut up and accept it. You're a child, and that was my philosophy for most of my childhood. When planning my birthday party, we had many plans presented to me. I will admit I was picky when choosing where I wanted to have my sweet 16, because in my family, sweet 16s are pretty special. One day, we finally came to an agreement between me and my mother. For my birthday, we were going to rent out a party bus with some of my friends, go somewhere fun, and then rent out an Airbnb. Very pricey, I know, but at the time, this idea was presented to me, and with 4 or maybe 5 adults willing to pay, I agreed. The next day, my mother texted me an ultimatum, saying Dave and Buster's or nothing because what I wanted to do was too expensive, even though multiple adults were willing to pay. I chose the first option. I had a problem but wasn't going to speak on it until I remembered what we did for my brother's 10th birthday. We went out of town for about a week and did everything that my little brother wanted, and she just wants to go to Dave and Buster's for my birthday. My mother has always shown favoritism towards my little brother for whatever reason, giving him more leeway with getting in trouble and not having any chores to do around the house besides taking out the trash at least once a week. I do that half of the time. I really want to turn a blind eye to this stuff and wanted someone to tell me I was overreacting. So I went to my grandmother, who basically told me my mother showed favoritism towards my brother throughout my whole life. I know this might sound like a jealous rant, so I started thinking of alternative options as to why my birthday party could be at Dave and Buster's. Maybe I'm getting a car or some kind of special gift, but I do not have my permit. Also, I have not told her any of my desires. Before anyone comments saying, "Tell her you don't want your party at Dave & Buster's," I have multiple times, to which I've been ignored and presented with the ultimatum again. I am really lost. On one hand, I want to convince her to change the party and speak out on how I am feeling, but I think with my mother, it will turn into me being selfish. She didn't present the first plan to any of the adults who were willing to pay. She basically just went off of what she currently had in her pockets. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, you have done nothing wrong here. It's clear that your mom is showing favoritism towards your brother, and it's totally understandable to feel hurt by it. Try not to resent your brother though, he might not even realize what's happening. The best approach might be to have an honest conversation with your mom about how you feel and suggest a place you'd actually like to go for your birthday. If she still doesn't understand, maybe showing her this post and the replies could give her a wake-up call. Am I the jerk for not visiting my sister without my partner? I, a 27-year-old female, have a boyfriend, a 30-year-old male of 4 years. My sister Deb, a 30-year-old female, and I grew up together. About 5 years ago, she moved to the opposite end of the country and is now engaged and has 2 children. For the first couple of years, I would visit her during the summertime. The last time I visited her, she invited me to bring along my boyfriend, who she had not met. I was, for obvious reasons, really excited about this. Deb was living with her boyfriend, a 25-year-old male named Ted, and had her first child, who was only about 2 years old. It was honestly a great visit. My sister expressed how much she liked my partner, and I felt that everything went pretty well. Towards the end of our stay, there was some tension between my sister and her boyfriend. 2 weeks after our visit, Deb told me what was going on between her and Ted. Ted previously had a past relationship where his partner cheated on him. He has serious trust issues. During our stay, Ted felt my sister was being too nice to my boyfriend and that he saw my boyfriend check her out. This was a complete shock to me because I thought they got along quite well. My sister apologized and reassured me that she really liked my boyfriend and that we were good, and it was just something that Ted needed to work on. At the time, which now seems like a big mistake, I swept it under the rug. The following year, when I was making plans to visit, my sister had offered to let us stay in her RV. Before booking our plane tickets, she said something had come up and I wasn't able to visit her. The next year, a similar problem popped up. Initially, I was planning on visiting solo because my boyfriend had a convention that he was supposed to attend. When plans changed, I let my sister know that my boyfriend was able to come. She then let me know that she really wanted me to come, but due to Ted's feelings about my boyfriend, he would not be on board. My boyfriend and I are digital nomads. We travel together, but we don't make a lot of money. I can't afford rent and travel tickets. I explained this to my sister and asked her to speak with Ted because this was starting to negatively impact our relationship. I hadn't seen her for close to 2 years. I then suggested that she come down to visit and she could stay with us, but that was shot down. I took her silence of about 3 months as graciously as I could, but now I don't know what to do in this situation. I want to be involved in my niece's lives, and I miss talking to them. I miss talking to my sister, but I have no idea how to resolve this. She does not want to talk to her partner about his trust issues because she doesn't want to start a fight, and it feels like it is easier for her to just not have me in her life. Nothing you have done here makes me think you are the jerk. Ted is clearly abusive and controlling, isolating your sister from her family to an alarming degree. It's important to keep trying to stay in touch with her so she knows she has someone to turn to when things inevitably go south. If visiting without your partner is the only way to maintain contact, that's what needs to be done. Make sure she understands that if she wants out of the relationship, you'll be there to help her. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.